fight fans to episode 106 of the Hooks End MMA podcast? We're back, baby. We got a huge pay-per-view this weekend out in New Jersey, the Prudential Center. We've got Dvalishvili O'Malley 2 for the Bantamweight Championship of the World. And then we've got another title fight, Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison for the World Bantamweight Championship of the World as well. So really excited to get into this. We got a great main card, and as always, want to meet you at the cashier Saturday night, getting ahead of that book with Easy Line. So, to kick things off, we're going to touch on the featured prelim of the night, which is Bruno Silva, Joshua Van, two really exciting flyweights, both who I would kind of consider prospects, up and comers in the weight class, but a very wide line. Seeing here, Tapology says minus 550 for Joshua Van. I think it's a bit of a closer fight than the line might suggest. I could see this one going to the judges' scorecards, hitting that over. So I'll be putting a little bit on that or into a parlay, and then perhaps throwing like a half unit here on the Bruno Silva side. As you could see, plus 400, I'm seeing plus 450
Yeah.
on Bet365. Could be a nice money line, kind of flyer bet here for the value. So either way, should be a good fight. As you could see, Bruno Silva, last fight coming against Kopp, who is one of the best, if not one of the most experienced fighters in the weight class. And then Joshua Van is riding a nice three-win fight streak. But as you can see, his strength of schedule is not quite at the same level. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Bruno Silva for a bit of a flyer money line, and then the over, and then I think easy lines here is gonna slide us right into the main card. I think that first fight is Luke Kevin Holland, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll pass the
Yeah.
ball over to UZ and break that one down for us here.
Yeah. And very quickly, I just noticed on Bet365 at least,
Yeah.
there's a bet boost for Bruno Silva and the over 1.5
Yep.
for 700 to 800, at least I'm seeing on my end here. So
Yep.
that's something that's very attractive and goes along with what your prediction there, kind of
Good
for your lean
catch.
at least.
Yeah, that
So
9 to 1 um, value is quite nice for something that might be more realistically in the plus 500, plus 600 round. So, yeah,
yeah,
that's a good one. Half unit immediately on that
yeah,
one.
classic half unit. To take a bond head, take a sip of beer, and you'll be good. So enjoy that kind of the main of I think it's like the main event of the undercard here. But jumping into the main card, got a very interesting welterweight fight here: Vicente Luque versus Kevin Holland. Kind of as we've mentioned before in previous episodes, Holland is a little bit unreliable in terms of what version is going to show up, but from what I've seen, he seems to show up a little better at the welterweight division when he does have to cut. I think he kind of focuses in a bit more. He dials in a bit more of that nutrition and kind of, I guess, routine, right? So middleweight guys kind of seem to be able to control him a bit stronger. So yeah, it seems a little more dialed in at 170. Luque, I like him. I love the way he fights. But I think he kind of may have peaked a little bit now at this point. He suffered a brain hemorrhage, obviously, result of the fight from Neil. After that, he admitted in an interview that he was even hesitant to get into striking exchanges. Safe to say he was afraid to receive more brain damage, obviously. So, very evident in his fight against Buckley, where he kind of oddly pulled guard at one point for no reason, got finished shortly after. If you watch that fight back, you can see that he was super uncomfortable in that fight and didn't really look himself. In his fight against Gorimbo, though, Luque looked like himself a bit more. But again, that's kind of against a fighter that likes to clinch and grapple and isn't really known to be a good striker. So Holland being a solid striker remains to be seen. How Luque is going to react to that, getting punched in the face again, big question mark. So, it is difficult to say what's going to happen here. Where's my confidence is that is kind of hard to say. Luque may look timid, but so I'm going to go with Holland as a finish at plus 130. Obviously, Luque could definitely win, but if Holland kind of shows up as his prime version of himself at 170, I do think he will get the finish here against Luque. Again, can see Luque winning, but that's what I'm leaning on for this one. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, it's a tough one for me. Anyone who's watched Hooks In knows I'm a big Luque fan. At one point, was probably my favorite fighter in all of UFC 4 or 5 years ago. He had that great four-win fight streak going, and then lost to Bilal Muhammad. Ever since then, it's been a rough go. And you mentioned he's had some injuries, and yeah, hasn't looked himself. So I do see, obviously, in the tail of the tape, a huge difference in terms of both height and reach for Kevin Holland. So that suggests if it is on the feet, huge advantage there. I would say speed goes to Kevin Holland, power probably equal, but maybe even on Kevin Holland's side because he has fought in the middleweight weight class. But I do think if it gets to the mat, I think Luque has a really good submission game. He's known for his Darce chokes. He's gotten a couple of those in his UFC career, and I could see him locking up Holland, who does seem to struggle on the ground, who isn't the best, wrestler and grappler. That could be the X factor for Luque, but I might just do a homer pick and go half unit on Luque because he is a big dog. He's sitting at, I think it
Yep.
was plus 225, bet
Yep.
365, but it's not going to be a big amount. It's going to be a half unit at most. I'm scared. I could see Kevin Holland knocking him out first round, just like you're kind of predicting here. So, gonna kind of fade this match altogether. Looking at the bet boost, yeah, Luque over 2.5 rounds. I don't think he really wins on the scorecards. So yeah, it might just go him money line, and yeah, hopefully he doesn't
Yeah.
retire
Yeah. Plus 225 is not like it's like a pretty good value, I think.
as a standalone.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And then, maybe by sub plus 850, I could see that hitting, right? If he gets him on the mat. So yeah, not a big one betting perspective, but both these fighters are quite exciting and seem to leave it all out there. So
Yeah.
I am excited to watch these guys regardless. Cool. So we'll move things along here.
Yep.
Get back onto the main card. Let's see what we got next. I believe this one was Mario Batista, Patchy Mix. So Bellator veteran and Patchy Mix, and a bit of a UFC veteran here, Mario Batista. Who do you got, Cease?
Yeah, so Bautista's at a plus 150, underdog Patchy minus 175. As you said, previous kind of Bellator champion, very good fighter, long, southpaw, fits into the division quite well. Matchup against Bautista is very good because it's a winnable for both sides, I think, actually. Bautista has good front foot pressure. He's a good boxer. Doesn't have kind of the same kind of experience against high level opponents that Patchy has, though. Patchy being a southpaw with good knees, good front kicks. He's going to have most of the, um, uh, he's going to be able to use that quite well against Bautista, who's quite heavy on that front foot and quite square. Aside from that, I don't really know. It's hard to say. Hopefully, Patchy does land into the UFC and resonates on the level and ranking everyone expects him to. I think Patchy's going to feel a little refreshed, more motivation now in the UFC, kind of behind his fighting. Bautista kind of leaves his midsection open a lot. When he does throw his punches, kind of like swims them out there a little bit. So I think Patchy's going to be able to knee and be able to get the knees up the middle to the body. Bautista wrestling, very underrated, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. I think Patchy's going to be able to hit him with one of those knees to the body and guillotine him. Uh, jumps guard first round, something like that. So Patchy submission, I believe is, let's see what it says there. Don't have the, oh yeah, plus one
Plus
seven sorry, plus
plus
300
300. Yeah.
actually. So I do like that. Um, but yeah, plus 300, I think that's kind of the good value there with him being minus 175 a money line. Good to throw in maybe with some other things if you think it can go decision, which it definitely could. But yeah, that 300 looks juicy to me. What do you think?
Yeah, this one is one of the tighter lines on the whole card. And the more I've been thinking about it throughout the week, the more I'm liking Patchy. Obviously, Bellator studs haven't had the best translation over to the UFC. If you think, Michael Chandler or Patricio Pitbull, obviously they've been thrown right into some of the top talent, which, is always tough to translate. Like, how does the strength of schedule, which Patchy Mix was fighting the who's who in Bellator, really relate to kind of the middle pack guy like Mario Batista? I really think Patchy's just much higher level across the board. I do really like his sub game, like you had said. So I'm gonna go both on money line. Probably throw this into, a one, like a 2 or 3 fight parlay, and then yeah, I like that prop bet as well by sub. Trying to see if there's potentially a bet boost, maybe the under 2.5 rounds,
Yep.
right? If he gets
Yep.
them,
Definitely. I
on the
like that.
mat. That one's
Plus
pretty good
260.
value.
And even the other one kind of goes along with everything now that since we already mentioned all of them now, that Bruno Silva, Holland, and Patchy mix
Yeah.
plus 1256.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty awesome, I think. Like you don't even, quarter unit, whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty solid as well, I think, for our
Yeah.
leans at
For a
least.
3 fight parlay, that's great return.
Hmm.
13.5 to 1. So yeah, I think there's a couple plays there, but I'll probably go heavy on the money line, maybe one as a standalone, and then yeah, mixing it into a 2 or 3 fight parlay. So hopefully the Bellator alum kind of gets the reputation back on board, and yeah, who knows? Maybe he makes a bit of a bantamweight title run here.
Yeah.
So heading into what I would call your classic gatekeeper versus prospect fight, we've got Kevin Gastelum versus Joe Bodybags Piper, who was one of the Dana White Contender Series alumni. Who are you liking in this matchup?
Yeah, not as much analysis and research for this one in particular, but I am still liking Pfeiffer for the plus 150 decision. I think Gastelum is going to be able to kind of hold him off as that kind of savvy veteran. Pfeiffer does have unreal power. Um, and I think kind of UFC is setting him up to kind of put him in the back in the win column and against a name that's kind of recognizable. If this was a 5 round fight, I definitely think Joe could finish him, but since it's 3 rounds, I think it's going to be go to decision. Kelvin is slightly better in striking, I believe, but the power of Joe's power is going to be the equalizer here. So decision plus 150 for me on this one. But well, yeah, what are you thinking?
Yeah, to start the week, I was like, oh, maybe Gastelum, he's got the experience, he used to be in the top contender kind of mix. What I've been hearing is if he gets the win, perhaps they give him Izzy um, to run it back there. But I don't know. I've
Yeah,
kind of switched. I'm going to go with Pfeiffer. What I'm actually looking at here, there's a bet boost, Pfeiffer by KO under 2.5 rounds. I don't seeing
yeah,
him sub Gastelum. Um, he is known for coming out really hard out of that first round and just like going nuts. So it's pay-per-view. He's on the main card. I think he's going to try to make a name for himself here, right? Get into the headlines. I think this fight was rescheduled. It was supposed to be in Mexico. So it seems like they probably have been training for this in the styles for quite a while. And I think that just favors Pfeiffer. He's got the height advantage, he's got the reach advantage. He's obviously 5 years younger. And yeah, he does seem to be a bit of a killer. So I'm gonna go with that Pfeiffer under 2.5 rounds for plus 300, 4-1 odds. I think's pretty good for a guy who's minus 400, who is a knockout artist. So that's where I'm seeing value on this one.
nice,
Cool. We'll
cool.
keep it rolling and head on into the co-main event of the evening, which is our women's bantamweight title. Juliana Pena versus the PFL alum, Kayla Harrison. Who you got, Z's?
Yeah, so Pena's a plus 500, very juicy plus 100. Harrison minus 700, obviously big favorite. If Pena's going to win this fight, in my opinion, she's really got to make it exhausting and scrappy. Got to accept she may lose a round or two. She may get cut, may lose some exchanges on the feet. If she forces Kayla to work enough in the first 2 rounds, then she may be able to get her in the fourth or fifth round. I really respect Pena for how game she is for these big fights, but it's going to be a very tough outing for her. If Kayla can get her to the floor, it may not matter how much of that dog she's got in her. She may not be able to do anything down there or be able to get back on her feet. Everything Pena has, Kayla has as well, and maybe better. Only thing Kayla doesn't have, which Pena does have the advantage in my opinion, is her technical striking, particular boxing. Slightly more confident in range. She's better in situations where they may be throwing because she is more composed. Kayla can have bad habits in chaos striking situations like that. So Kayla, a bit more panicked in these moments. She shoots for a takedown, maybe doesn't get it. How's she going to respond mentally? Whereas someone like we're going to speak about in a moment here, Marab, for example, will continue to reshoot and not be mentally affected by not successful ones. Kayla hits harder than Pena, bigger, of course. But if Kayla expends energy, tries and falls, and has to respond with her weakest skill set, which is striking, it may be a tough day for her. This is a version of Pena that she can, or sorry, this is a version of Kayla that Pena can beat. She does have the skills to do that, in my opinion, but she has to stick to a very specific game plan tailored to beat Kayla Harrison. If Pena loses the first two rounds, does she come out in the third bloodied and say to herself, okay, I lost the first two, but she's tired now. Now I can get after her on the feet. Most likely, though, I think Kayla does win this fight. I think she ends the fight on a TKO, something like that. Pena can win this fight, but I think 8 out of 10 times Kayla does the same thing, pushes her up, takes her down, passes guard, and finishes the elbows for a TKO. So I'm looking at Kayla at KO as the KO plus 300, submissions of plus 140. I don't think she's going to fool around with that. I think she's going to make a statement with the TKO or like with elbow striking. But as I said, you never know what can happen. Pena decision plus 1200. If she comes out after that second round and she's ready for a full fight, she's ready. She's, doesn't care that she lost these first round or two, then we got a real fight in our hands there. So plus 1200, I think that's a good value one to even hedge against anything you got on in Kayla there. Yeah, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's a super wide line, even more
Mm-hmm.
wide than Tapology minus 700 for Harrison. So you almost have to go prop bet here or one of the boosts just to make it
Yeah,
worth your while. Um, you were saying Pena by decision, even that one over 2.5 rounds plus 900, right? Maybe she gasses
yes,
her out, fourth round finish, or like you said, decision that'll cover you both ways. That could be
yeah, that's
interesting.
nice.
10
Yep,
to 1 odds. Otherwise, I do like those other two boosts where it's just Moneyline, Pfeiffer, Harrison, O'Malley plus 425. I could see
yep,
that. And then I could see her just coming out, taking her down 10
yeah,
seconds in, and getting a ground and pound finish a minute in, like she was doing throughout her PFL career at
yeah,
plus 550, KO under 2.5. So I might just sprinkle on each one of those, maybe a half unit per, but really going to avoid the money lines here. And yeah, just kind of hope that one of those hits. And obviously, you'd be positive ROI if they do. So,
yeah, yeah.
um,
That's actually a nice little spread right there too, because they're
yeah,
all the smallest one's plus 425, but
they're
we'll
just
see.
baiting you. Like they're basically hoping that
Yeah, yeah,
Kayla wins in like the third round by sub and
yeah.
then Marab wins and then you lose them all. But
Exactly.
that's just the book for you and
That's
hopefully
how it works.
yeah, Sugar Sean can get it done. So that's a nice segue
Yeah.
into our main event of the evening, the Bantamweight Championship, and second time rematch
Yep.
versus Marab versus Sean. So break that one down, Z, and I'll follow suit.
Yeah. So Marab, pretty heavy, moderate favorite, minus 275. O'Malley plus 225 right now on Bet365 rematch, as you said, their second fight, where Marab defeated Sean, took the belt from him back in September last year. Since then, Merab has defended his belt once against Umar Nurmagomedov. Can never say that right. Sean has been, but Sean he's been chilling, kind of sitting by the pool, recovering from hip surgery. So Marab, I think he can do the same thing as he did last time. Last time he did what he did very well was control the pace, took moments and minutes in the fight where he didn't actually really do that much. But you have the impression that he was about to do something, lots of feints. So he does not get discouraged as well when he fails. That's really kind of one of his superpowers. He lands one of every three takedowns. The fact that he can keep going, keep mauling, keep recovering, and not be shaken psychologically is a very big asset for him in this fight. Even if he loses a round or gets hurt or whatever, he can really recover psychologically very quickly. Sean realized in the last round of their first fight here that working the body was the right thing to do, which he was doing a little bit in the start of the fight, but he kind of went away from it. And he was only doing it with his straight cross instead of that front kick. When he did do that front kick, it did work really well. Most likely, O'Malley will be going to those front kicks. I think knees, two counter punches. His right hand is his money weapon. I feel like it'd be better to use that this time to kind of set up his left hook. Marab has been hurt twice, I believe. He's been hurt with that left hook. O'Malley is going to be a different version of himself, I think. He may try harder to land those shots that he didn't land in that first fight. O'Malley must be careful not to extend himself too much here. In his first fight, he wasn't moving too well. I guess it was like the injury thing. He was almost waiting for Marab instead of creating opportunities for himself. Didn't have the footwork in that fight to get it done. Waiting too much for Marab and kind of letting him control the pace. I'm excited for this rematch because I think we're going to see a much improved Marab, but he'll be fighting the best version of O'Malley we've seen yet as well. I think O'Malley is going to catch him. O'Malley plus 400 KO. That's what I'm liking. Something like a Tony Ferguson type thing, kick to the face, kind of front kick thing, right? Marab has been very good the last couple of fights because he hasn't been putting his foot on the gas as much, actually, and he's kind of tricking his opponent into not doing that much either. But when he gets his foot on the gas, which I think he will do this fight, patterns start to come out. And O'Malley's going to see those patterns and be able to catch him with something. So that's what I'm seeing here. Yeah, what do you think? Or what are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm liking Sean as well. He didn't look himself that last fight, so I do think he'll come out more aggressive this time. He was a little too reserved the last one. I agree. Those I think he was doing them later in the fight was those body shots, things like that. I think his coaches are going to have him start there,
Yeah,
try to tax Marab, obviously one of the best, gas tanks in all of UFC. Guy's a decision machine. Like every single one of his last five fights went, the entire distance. So I think that's the key. Keeping him on the outside, obviously height and reach is a big advantage here for O'Malley. And I don't know. Sometimes you see Marab a little wild with those hooks. He might try to shoot, and Sean catches him there with a kind of one of those counters or a knee up the middle, something like that.
mm-hmm.
So I really do like the value that Sean's providing here. There was another bet I kind of like. Perhaps O'Malley by decision plus 600 seems pretty good, just because we know
Yeah,
Marab can go the whole 25 minutes. But otherwise, yeah, I'm liking the upset, and I'm gonna go
yeah,
on Sean O'Malley money line as well, which is plus 225 on Bet 365. So should
yeah.
be a great fight. These guys are obviously top level, and both I would also say almost fan favorites. So no, should be a
Yeah.
great card and a really stacked roster of fights here. So should be good. Any parting thoughts before we disconnect today?
No, I just want to thank everyone for listening and hit that like button, comment, do whatever you can to help us with the algorithm here. And good luck on the bets, and see you at the cashier as well.
Yeah, let's get ahead of that book. We'll see you Sunday morning at the cashier bright and early at probably 1 a.m. And
Hello.
yeah, we'll be sure to catch you on episode 107. Let's get it.